can hear Nikki now.
Yay!
Okay. I'm going to keep the girls outside the door.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should we tell them where we
Thank you for your patience, everyone.
Where we work from? Okay.
Yeah, our very professional setups.
So I currently live in an apartment while we're building a house, and so my office is a little storage closet we have, and that's why you can see coats off to the side because that's where we have to store them. So Nikki's looking cuter down there. She works out of her basement, but made it look better.
Yeah, I currently am working out of my basement while I am setting up kind of a office space we live in a duplex, so we have 2 basements. And in the other basement, I'm trying to set up office space with actual like soundproofing. So it's slowly coming along, but I did set up the curtains so you can't see the mess of our basement behind me.
Which I think is, I don't know, cute, maybe the wrong word, but I like it. But atmosphere, it's cool.
Sorry, my whole family's texting me. We can hear you. We can hear you.
All right, Nikki, you're better at talking. So do you want to give we are also delayed, so we will work on making sure we don't talk over each other, but we tend to do that anyway, so we'll do our best.
Yeah. Yeah, so welcome to the first live stream. We're hoping to do more of these. These are our faces. Thank you so much for everybody who has joined and hopped on and supported. We're still pretty tiny and we're hoping to keep growing. And as Joyce said earlier, we are going to be doing more things on the channel. It's just currently this is what we're fixated on. So, Joy, do you want to get into what we wanted to share with everybody?
Yeah. It's hard not to look at these messages. Okay. All right. So, yeah. And just, I think if anyone's just here's our deal. I'm Nikki's aunt. And what would happen is we would get fixated on these things. We would chat a lot. We would both get into it, and the rest of our families would be really bored of hearing what we had to say. So we decided to make a channel. So that's how we got here. Yeah. So I'm gonna preface. So I had this cool experience, and I went to Myrtle Beach and met everyone. Not everyone, a lot of people. But
you're making Nikki smaller.
I'm making Nikki smaller. Oh my gosh! I'm not doing anything. Okay, guys, this might be a comical live stream. Okay.
Keep going.
Also, there's a motion light in the storage closet, so every time they come on, the light gets different.
We're doing great.
Okay, thank you again. Okay, so first and foremost, I have to say, again, I am very tender-hearted. I'm autistic, and I'm pretty easy to see kind of through, and I can't, yeah, I'm a little naive, and I believe in people, and I don't like to be mean. So, the first thing I'm gonna say before anything is that we need to remember, and we need to get better at it too, is that we shouldn't say anything that we can't say to someone's faces. And when you actually get to sit down and meet these people and see their faces, you realize that there's a lot of reality going behind the headlines, and there's a lot of things that are maybe misunderstood, or and there's a lot of families and kids involved in this. Everything that goes on greatly affects them, and there are families suffering. But I also think there's a really interesting story here.
Well, that's my biggest.
I'm sorry.
Kind of fallen into is that we just need to be more aware that we're talking about. It's real easy for when you're talking about something you're seeing on the news or on YouTube or whatever. But we're talking about real people, and we both Like we need to just be more aware of that and be more conscious of it. And it might make us sound like we're, I don't know, being soft on people, and that's not the intention.
It's
It's
just
just these are real
nice to be
people.
honest. I mean, we're giving our honest opinions. We're not here to
Yeah.
be mean. So, anyways, if there's haters out there, please don't hate us back. But we're just trying to be honest. Okay. So, where do we start, Nick?
Well, I guess why'd you go to South Carolina at all?
My true fixation, like when you're autistic and you've had something that like is your big fixation, is traveling. So I travel a ton. And on a side note, I really I love like high-end hotels. And someday I will get to saving everything I've have over the years and that will part be at least this channel or another. But anyways, so what I guess that goes to say is traveling to Myrtle Beach, it was just kind of a win. I wanted to go on a little weekend with my mom. We were looking for a place to go. And so I said, heck, why don't we go there? And actually had a great time, had a really fun weekend beyond all this. So that is why I went there. I also knew that I wanted to go take some pictures of some of these things. Like I said, we both have been pretty fixated in the past on the Murdaugh murders. So I went out to Hampton and did some scouting out there, which I can't wait to talk about that in the future. And then we headed over to Myrtle Beach, and my intent was just to go take some pictures of some places, maybe go eat at Crocodile Rocks, just kind of get a feel for where everything physically was geographically when we were talking about it. So that was my intent.
Yeah.
I had no plan though. there was no specific plan. So on day one, I had no idea where to start. So I had JP's address because it was everywhere, and so I thought I'd start there. And I drove over to JP's house.
And what did you do?
And there was a truck in the driveway, and I have no idea why. This was not my intent, but I went and I rang the doorbell. Hold on. Tech girl coming back in.
You got big.
What?
Nikki
No, I'm getting.
No, Nikki.
Why are we switching sizes?
I think it may be because of Nikki's internet.
I'm so sorry. Winter's been rough the last couple of weeks on our internet, and I was hoping it would be okay.
I swear next time, guys, we will get this a little better each time.
Don't overpromise.
I just saw my husband's comment though, and he said, "Who's the cute IT girl?"
I didn't realize who made the comment, and I was like, nobody's going to talk about her that way. And then I saw the name of
It's
the
her
person who made
dad.
the comment.
It's her dad. He was being sweet. Okay. You can see the light popped on again. The motion light. Okay, so that's what happened. I rang the doorbell, and JP let me in, and I didn't expect that. So he said he'd give me 15 minutes to talk. I kind of told him we have a little tiny YouTube channel, and that my intentions were not bad at all, and I just wanted to talk to him, and he invited me in.
Yeah. So let's keep in mind that we've not gone easy on him whatsoever. So after the fact, when Joy called me after, I was like, I have to keep being the bad guy. I have to keep being the bad cop.
Let's start with what you said. Let's start with how it worked.
Oh, okay.
I called you and I said,
oh. Yep. She said, guess where I've been for the last hour?
and you said, keep it, edit bad words.
So if you've listened to our podcast, you know Joy doesn't like swearing, and I love swearing. And I lost my ever loving mind, and I just started screaming all the bad words, and then went, I'm so sorry, can I swear? And then just kept screaming.
So yeah, because this was not planned at all. So we had a conversation. It's just, there's so much. I don't even know if I should get into the whole conversation at this point.
Well, I think like give us some highlights. Like what was some of the big takeaways, I guess?
Yeah. First of all, I went in with like I was not prepared. It's like I didn't have any questions or anything. So I mean I just walked in the door and yeah, I mean JP had slippers on and he you know, the house was what you expected. He had a lot of paperwork out on a table. He was very welcoming. And yeah, big takeaways. You know, and I don't know if this is at the end of the week or end of the time I've talked to him, or if I kind of started realizing it there. And then here we go with hate comments. But what I took away is JP's not lying all the time. He's very good with his words. And he later said at one point, I should have been a lawyer. And I'm like, that's exactly what it is. He has a great way of talking like a lawyer or a politician. Where it's not lies, he just avoids certain things. There's truth. There's truth to at least most of what he says. I mean, I can't say the guy's 100%. I don't think he's a great guy. But I also don't think he's an all bad guy.
Yeah, and also you said like he's not, I guess it's the definition of lying, right? Like he is manipulating his language.
Yes.
He knows how to speak in such a way that you can't say, well, you're lying.
Right. Or yeah, if there's a question he doesn't want to answer, he's very good about like redirecting, like very lawyer-like. Yeah. And I mean, I mean, he's probably exactly the person everyone, I mean, his personality is just like what you'd expect. So, but the whole lying thing, like I said, it did take being with him for a while, because you see bits and clips and then you're like, come on, what are you talking about? But then when you sit down and talk, you realize there's truth in everything. It's just not always the whole truth.
Or like the big capital T truth.
Yeah. Truth be told, you know, none of us actually know the full truth. So it's all based on what we perceive. So that was what, that was my big takeaway there. I think when I left, okay, the other thing is it's just really hard to like hate on someone or totally not believe them when they're sitting with you. But I wasn't, I was clear at the end of the conversation. He did say, so is your channel pro me or against me? And I said, well, I don't think a channel can be pro you. So no, we're not pro you. But I mean, I wasn't mean, but I definitely questioned and, you know, I told my apprehensions about what all has happened. So, I mean, we don't have to go into every bit of that conversation, but so that's what happened there. I was there for about an hour. We talked.
Well, we should also quickly say he did tell you we can talk about anything he said.
Yes. Yeah.
So we're not going behind anyone's back. Like he can't say that he never said we can't talk like this. So so we can talk about whatever. And he gave us that permission, I guess.
Now, others that I've met, you know, I would respect and not give specifics of conversations. But if I'm honest, nobody really that I met said anything that was out of the ordinary or that was bad. So I don't have anything bad to say about anyone else. But I will say, I mean, JP's a squirrely dude. He definitely is squirrely. So then he did share he sent me some pictures and some of Mica's health records that'll be kind of cool to look through, and we're and I noticed and learned some things, so we'll go through that also. So because of that, we had
I'm going to jump in. If anybody has questions, just throw them in the chat. We'll try to answer them. Somebody already asked if there's like conversation details you can share.
Okay, yeah, and
we'll keep an eye on for questions.
Okay, I can't see the questions somehow, and I'm not going to start pushing buttons, but conversation details. trying to think. It's just so hard to think on the spot. I did write some things down. I'll tell you one thing. When I rang the doorbell, he did say, "Are you a process server?" And I was like, "What?" And um, then I thought, well, if I was a process server, would I say yes? I'm not sure. So I did say no about that. Oh, I know another thing that was kind of funny. So I was just like, again, I didn't think he'd open the door. So, and I was just nervous as all heck. So my hands were shaking, and I said, "Oh my gosh, like I'm shaking." And he actually was very kind, and he said, "I'll leave the door open." And I'm like, "Well, I'm not shaking because I think you're gonna kill me." Which is kind of funny. But yeah, I mean, what else do we? I'm trying to look at my notes a little bit. We kind of went through a list of who's good and who's bad, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And let me just say, I don't want to be negative about anyone, but I will tell you, and he seemed genuine in all these things. He said, "Susie's a wonderful, nice person," and I'm going to tell you all right now, I'm pretty defensive, and I like Susie, and I can tell you more about her later. He told me at that time that, because I asked him if it was true that they were having an affair at that time in 2021. It just kind of hard to believe that for me. It just didn't seem like she was the person. And he said they did not then, but they are together now. And then I witnessed them together because later in the story, and they weren't like. I mean, they were definitely caring toward each other. He went through what a good person she is, how he took care of Chris, or she took care of Chris for so long, and what that was like with raising the kids and stuff. He told me I've always kind of said Mark Kaufman is sort of who I thought was kind of a bad guy in this whole thing. And he told me no. He told me Mark Kaufman's a wonderful guy. And
Which I do feel like he would have to say, because he's kind of dependent on Mark Kaufman in a lot of ways right now.
yes.
So just to keep in mind.
Yes. And he did tell me that, that Mark Kaufman is financially helping him through this time. So I think I can say that. He was Trisha, he said, is a good person. Reverend Riddle, he says, is a good person. There's a couple other people that are associated with Crocodile Rocks that he was not. And they're not names that we've heard a lot about. I know Nikki and I have, we've researched some of them and maybe spoken about some of them a little bit. But he was not positive about that. And he was not all positive about his father, but did say, as he's in his 70s, he's kind of become a different person, and he's was more positive about him in the recent years. So
somebody just asked, Under the Mystic Moon asked, isn't Mark his BFF as well?
Yes. And I did. Well, there's more Mark stuff coming up. So I did actually spend quite a bit of time with Mark. So I can tell you more about him in a second. So we exchanged numbers because he was sending me those documents, and that was it. Walked away, left. And then somewhere in there, I think I texted or he texted, it was nice meeting you. Or then I said, thank you for your time. I was surprised. And anyways, in there, he invited me to come to church on Sunday. So of course I took the opportunity. My phone's going crazy here. So, and I, I was a little nervous. I had gone over and taken pictures of the church already. And so I did attend mass, or I'm Catholic, so I'm sorry. Did attend service.
Joy, I'm going to interrupt real quick. I Spy Crime asked, did you actually get the documents?
He texted me about 40 pages of documents. he said he had a whole stack of them at home. Um, obviously I wasn't going to start rifling through his documents like right there, but he did send me a whole set of them. There are actually a couple pages of like kind of account withdrawal, like some of their little checking account information where you can see kind of some of the charges that Micah was making in those days. So we will share them. Honestly, I haven't gone through them all the way, but I don't know if they're if they've been out there, but I do think they're worth looking through. There were some
Yeah.
interesting things in them.
Yeah. Should also, with even that, kind of bear in mind that he has curated what he's given to
Yes.
people. So I think anything we've got that anyone else doesn't have is, I'm sure, in some way valuable, but we should also take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
That there's probably a greater context.
Yeah. Yep. Very true. Very true. So church.
Yeah, tell me about church.
Church. So I was a little confused because I didn't know exactly where church was anymore or what the situation was with Solid Rock.
Because they have all these, like, they're meeting in different places and all of these, like, weird land and building transfer of deeds happening.
And so, okay, so it was in the old church building, the old Solid Rock building, but I think they are considered Mercy Church now. I know there's been some things out there about Living Water Church. We never spoke of that, so I'm not exactly sure how that worked in. But they are considered Mercy Church. I'll also say JP's. I asked him his future plans. And his plans were to still rebuild the church again. So we will see how that goes.
I Spy Crime just said, okay, a total stranger shows up at his door and he just hands over docs. Sorry, that is just sus. Here's what I think. I think JP is really lonely and he's really desperate to be liked. And he's desperate to convince anybody of his narrative. And I think that's what he was trying to do. So, it's okay if you don't believe us, that's fine. But
it was.
Yeah, I think that's kind of like his game is if he doesn't know where you stand on him, he's going to do his best to convince you and hand it, like, I don't know, like a carrot. I got these documents, I'll show you them and it'll prove that I'm good.
And then I'm, of course, the more soft-hearted person who probably, first of all, does, it shows when you meet me, and I think he knew I wouldn't say anything mean. He was very clear that he has no problem talking to people, that he has no problem sharing his story. He did know I was a stranger, but obviously, he's had some weird things happen. I do think also he is lonely. I get the feeling that he's maybe stuck at home a lot. I don't know if that's for security reasons or staying out of the, I don't know, but I get the feeling he's home a lot by himself right now. And I do think he kind of enjoyed having someone to talk to. And again, I wasn't mean. I mean, we just had a conversation. So,
Lauren Allen said, I hope he didn't fool you. Even serial killers are super likable and charismatic. And like what we'll ultimately get to is our opinions haven't changed about what we think is happening.
And that's the big thing. I don't think.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say, and this Nikki and I have a little disagreement on. I will say two things that he has said to me. And he said, I am not a good person, but I'm an honest person, was one of those things. And he did say, I never abused my wife, and I love my wife. Take it for what it is. I still told him, I don't think you've not done anything wrong. I don't think 20 FBI agents come to somebody's house because of nothing. I don't think he killed her at all, but I think what I would say is without him, she probably would be alive. That's my gut feeling. And I don't think he's done nothing illegal. I think he has. We can get more into that, I guess, as we go. Church, was, I mean, the protesters were there. I came trying to be, I brought donuts for both sides. When I pulled up, the protester said, like, kind of, whose side are you on? And I said, well, first of all, I'm not on any side. But I did say I was invited to mass or service. And that I really just wanted to understand the truth of the whole matter. Not that I was on a side. Yeah, they were a little hesitant. I talked to them a little bit more when I came back out. And the reason they said is because I was parking in the parking lot. And they said, "You can't park there." And I said, "No, it's okay. I was invited. I'm a guest." Um, so
I spy crime. I actually agree with that. He did not kill her, but he sure knows who did.
yeah. Well,
I believe that. Yeah, I believe there are layers of things that he absolutely knows and had a hand in. I do agree with that.
yeah. No, I mean, again, I'm not saying, yeah, he's a great guy, but I do think he loved her. Maybe it wasn't.
See, and that's where we differ. Like, I think it's the coercive control thing. I think it was if I can't have you, no one else can. And I truly 100% think he believes a lot of the things he's lying about. And
abuse is a spectrum.
I think it for sure is, but also abuse is abuse. And so I think for him, the spectrum makes it so, like, the things I did aren't abusive because I didn't, like, punch her in the face or something horrible like that. I think I fully think he's had to convince himself of a lot of the things he says.
But I think most people who are, like, verbally abusive and even emotionally abusive, it's a fine line. And so I do think it's easy from your own perspective to be like, no, that's not what I did. And everyone's got a little bit definition of where that line is. So I guess that's an easy thing to say, no, I didn't, because it's a kind of a hard thing to prove. So
yeah.
Okay, so when I got to church, the sprinkler guy, what's his name? I don't remember his name, but the sprinkler guy, let me in. He was at the door with his wife. He was wearing the same shirt as when the sprinkler incident happened, which I thought was kind of funny. He was actually really nice. Yeah, when I entered, so the side entry of the church goes right into the old gym / cafeteria of the school. So that's kind of where everyone was milling about. There was a birthday cake in there. I put my donuts down. People are having coffee kind of thing. The donuts went over well, by the way. A little Krispy Kreme can go a long way. So, and then JP kind of walked me through the school, the classrooms a little bit. Small. They were kind of broken down. He said that, I mean, they were very bright, and that Mica had taken a lot of joy in decorating them. And she enjoyed that. Then what did we do? We kind of went into the main church. The church was stripped of, like, everything. I don't know if we knew that they cleared everything out. So, like, all the banners.
Well, we remember, like, there was a weekend that he was loading up trucks and stuff like that. I know all the people at church.
And I guess that's why I was kind of confused, because I did remember that, but then also we still went there for service. I've got to stop saying mass. So yeah, the church was pretty stripped of everything. It was kind of bare bones. There was chairs set up. There was probably about 50 people there. And I'm going to say, and this make it, the people there were actually very nice and very normal and kind. I mean, JP did say they were a little leery because, I was a stranger there. He didn't really, he didn't really say who I was, so I don't think people were on, like, a certain behavior because I was there, or hiding anything. Like, guys, they were nice people. So, I know a lot of people say they're enablers. The feeling I got was they're a community of their own. Like, that it's not all about supporting JP. It's like they're each other's friends and comfort and their own group. and they still care about each other, and they care about him. Nobody really talked about the bad things. Mica was brought up, but nothing. But not everything was about her. Not so.
I Spy Crime asked, did you hear that he has sold the church on Valentine's Day to a very shady real estate company? And I had heard that. I hadn't had the chance to look into it too much. I heard like the bare minimum about it, but it was like 2.1 million that he sold the building for, I think.
Yeah, when I was there, he did tell me. He didn't say they were like right about to sell it, like in 2 days or whatever. I mean, I guess it's been a week and a half, but he did say that they were going to be selling it. He did blame he had a lot of animosity toward the protesters, and that was why they were going to have to sell it. And he did say something, and I don't remember, about a few older ladies who had I don't know if who had taken over something. I don't know if it was the building or. But I don't know what that was, but I mean, it was but I do remember him saying something about that. So yeah, he did tell me that, like, vaguely, that they were going to be selling it. So it was stripped down, pretty bare. Other than that, looks just like it does, in all the videos and such. And so I sat down, and actually, I sat down with Susie. I kind of sat, or I mean, she kind of came and sat down by me. So JP plays at the beginning. There's a lot of music. I've never really been to are they non-denominational?
I'm
not sure.
Don't really know exactly the official denomination. It might just be a non-denominational Christian.
Yeah,
but I'm not sure.
So I am used to. I'm not terribly religious, but I'm Catholic, so very different. Very different mass service than I was used to. Lots of singing, lots of music at the beginning. Lots of clapping and people, joining in, little hand waving. I couldn't quite get into the arm waving. That's a little too much for a Catholic. So, but yeah, I mean, honestly, about half of the service was music, and then they did a parody.
I was just going to ask.
Did, but I cannot remember the song. I do fully remember. I wish I remembered the song. I do remember that when JP announced it, he said, "This is going to bring a lot of people back to the 1994 prom days."
Oh my gosh.
And it did to a T. It was so weird because that was exactly my age range.
Anyone watching, have you guys heard about like the parody songs Solid Rock does or Mercy Church does? There was some that were posted on their website before the website went down, and they're just very cringe.
They're their thing. They're unique. So it was. I didn't know if they were still doing that. Thought maybe that was something they'd kind of given up in the meantime, but no, it is still something they do, and that's part of that's one of their things. Then there was Reverend. Oh, who's there? So I sat with Susie, and then JP came over after he was done playing keyboard. I met his father. I was introduced to him as Dr. Wayne Miller. He sat behind me. I never really talked to him.
Just keep in mind he's a doctor from his own college that's not accredited.
But he was there. JP's mom was there. I did talk to her more. They were not obviously sitting together, but she was quite sweet, actually. And so I did talk to her a little bit more. And then I met Mark Kaufman. At that time, he had throat surgery, so his throat was scratchy. We talked about that more a little bit later. JP told him I thought he was the kingpin behind the whole thing. So but then he's sort of just again, when you meet people, he's just sort of a normal dude. I think he was wearing a shirt too. I've seen him wearing pictures. So, and then who else were there? Trisha. Ross was there. She was in the front row. She did some announcements and stuff. I didn't meet her. I didn't get a chance to meet her. Nikki, is there anyone else I told you I met, or is that it?
I think that's it.
So lots of music. Then they played a video. The video is of like the new mission that they have as it like the new like reinvention of the mission.
Dare to care.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
So we're going to release a really like quick video. It's like an addendum to the Africa video that includes this, because we had the recording and stuff for the Africa video done, and then this all happened. So keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, we just post Africa, right? This is
Yeah.
And then we have a new one coming out with the new information. Or the new video. So, which is, I mean, it's interesting. There's some interesting things in there. What else? We watched that. There was a sermon. The sermon was Reverend Cecil, I want to say. I didn't know. I mean, it was an interesting sermon.
But JP didn't preach.
No, JP did not preach.
Yeah.
And then some announcements. There was a lot of announcements about apparently JP had just gone into that was like the week he went in to one of the hearings with about the protesters with Regina. And he said it was supposed to be like 15 minutes, ended up being like 2 hours. That was when he said, I really should have been a lawyer, which I could see that very well. So I think he pushed back a lot, and then it seemed like that was a little more intense than was planned. He did talk about the fact that maybe members of the church would have to testify. So just to know that was coming up. Again, like a lot of bad feelings toward the protesters. And then this is the weirdest thing for me, but then it just ended. And when you're Catholic, like at the end, well, first of all, there's no communion, which when you're Catholic, and it just it was weird to me to be missing that. And then it was weird.
Oh, they didn't do a communion?
No, of no sort. Do other churches do? I don't.
Yeah, we do.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know. But no, they didn't. And then, I was just a little funny to be like, okay, we're done. Because, like I'm so used to like the whole procession. And after that, people milled about a little bit, everyone, it was probably, I don't even know if it was an hour. It was probably 45-minute service.
In and out.
Yeah, it was quick. But yeah, then, I mean, obviously then people kind of stand around and talk and visit. I do know that there was one couple there that I had gone to the church in the past and must have been moved back to the area or something. They knew nothing about all the it didn't sound like they knew anything about this case or what was happening. And I did overhear someone explaining, what had gone on, what was going on from their perspective. So to this couple, nothing really terribly out of the ordinary.
I will say, under the mystic moon, I'm sorry, I know not all churches do that. I've just never been to a Christian church, though. You're right.
And then I was very surprised to be asked to lunch after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. So I did join them for lunch. It wasn't everyone. There was a couple, I'm assuming elders. There was a couple elderly people that I had not met. JP's mom, JP's dad. They kind of sat at a different table, so I didn't really get to see them. I think the couple from Pakistan. The woman who's Nikki, who are they? The woman with the straight. Anyways,
Solomon and Yusuf, I think.
But the woman was in the choir. She was, or I shouldn't quite, one of the like lead singers at the service, and yeah, they were there. But again, I didn't sit at their table, so I didn't really interact with them. A couple other people from the church. Mark was there. JP's mom was there. I talked to her quite a bit. I actually sat with Susie and JP. Again, I felt really comfortable with Susie. Her kids are about my kids' age. She's just kind of a nice, normal person.
I'm gonna chime in and just remind the chat that nothing, our opinions haven't changed about most of these people. So like
mine
we're
little
not
bit.
caught up, but I mean, we're not we haven't been taken. We're not in a spider web. We're not like this just happened to happen. Like
They're people.
nobody's went to the church or like joined the team or done any of that. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, they're just human beings now. And I'm going to be honest, if anyone in you sat down with this group of people at lunch, they just seem like a very normal group of people at lunch. And like, you know what? And in a way they are. And I will say one thing that Susie said is that just nobody, they don't know us, like that it's that nobody knows. So I will say I will defend her. I mean, I've always thought any woman who would take care of her husband that well is not a bad person. And I don't think they were having an affair right around then. In fact, I asked JP for some comments on the video that was going around with the ambulance. And I kind of asked, like, what was going on, kind of, and he didn't actually remember. He said, I remember being at their house. But then he did say, okay, Susie reminded me that, yes, we did see them outside. He said we didn't know them very well at that point. Don't know if that's true or not. I'm going to be a little bit defensive about talk of Chris again, just because they have 2 kids, and I can't imagine how painful it must be just to suddenly have your father like brought up so much and drawn into this. So I will say I think she's a good person. So I don't know exactly what went on. I don't think I think she was caught up in this. Not saying she was not caught up in something. But yeah, I don't think she actively meant to hurt anyone. I think she was caught up in something and couldn't get out. I mean, so that's my thought. Am I making people mad because I'm being too nice?
Yep.
Oh,
it's okay.
Don't worry, Nikki will talk, and hers will be a little harsher. So, yep, the rest of the trip. So this is the part that I found the most eye-opening, I think, and I have to do a full episode on this. So I went out and I did not expect this to be so eye-opening, but I went out to the Fair Bluff and Lumber River State Park, and there's something wrong out there.
Yeah, that park, like you called me and were like, this place is creepy. It's not safe here.
I was walking through those woods, and I think I know, like I took some video a little bit, and I think I know about where Mica's body must have been found. And I was walking, and honestly, there was people walking by me that were not out there hiking in the woods. Like there was definitely something going on. And in Fair Bluff, in fact, I saw a gentleman come out of the woods there with a duffel bag, and now that I've watched videos, clearly what looked like drugs, a big black drugs wrapped in plastic. I was a pharmacist, so I was used to kind of seeing like stereotyping, but like meth type people. And that's who kept passing me in the woods there. And then it was just me. And then there was a strange guy lolling about in a boat. And I got scared. There was nothing, it was creepy. Maybe this time of year it just seemed worse, but it did not seem like a nice, peaceful place. There's something wrong there. And same with Fair Bluff. There was just, and I have some pictures and stuff. Again, I was like, I kind of need to get out of here. I'm uncomfortable. So
yeah, and it kind of like solidified that regardless of how she got there, if she took herself, if she was brought there, like there is a reason she was brought to that park.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
that
it's
she
not
was
coincidence
at that park.
that she was there.
It's like Yeah.
And I do not think she actively, there's no way. I think there's no way she went there to take her life because it was a beautiful piece. It's not. I
That wouldn't be the place, like, yeah, it's not a beautiful
it
place.
just can't. I mean, I'm sure in the summer, it can get beautiful, but there's definitely some stuff going on there, and I can't, like, to me that's a big part of this with the how, like, the geography of that. How I think there's a lot of smuggling that's going on through that, and I think that's really worth looking into.
Yeah, I think it's really important that it's the North Carolina and South Carolina border, and doesn't the river go to the ocean?
Yeah,
Like
it's
it drains the
navigable.
ocean. Like,
Yeah, so I think I think the big picture has a lot to do with that.
yeah.
Yeah. So, and then I went to Crocodile Rocks. Uh,
It's just so fun. It's like crazy still.
well, I wish I had more bad stuff to say, but I went to Crocodile Rocks. I went very early. I was there from like 8 to 10, which, nothing cooler than being by yourself in a bar. It was pretty old crowd. I mean, it was pretty harmless crowd. It was old. I mean, it was old people. I think the crowd probably gets a little wilder as the night goes on. Um, it was kind of, I mean, I hate to say it was kind of fun. Like, the entertainers are good. And the service staff that I saw was really nice. I don't know if this is anything, but what that only like struck me weird was in the bathroom there was like a bathroom attendant. Like, it was like a small, like, I mean, I've been in, there's like, I don't know, maybe I don't go to bars, but like, it was kind of a small, normal bathroom. And then, yeah, there was one person in there the whole time. And there was a tip jar. And then I'm like, I don't know if I need to tip you I just washed my hands. I don't know. So that was a little weird. I don't know. I look into stuff like that and I'm like, could there be stuff going on
Under the
back
mystic
there?
moon, yes, she did this all by herself.
So, and just funny part, I was with my mom and I am 50.
My grandma did not go to the bar.
No, she did not. But I got the phone call at 10. Where are you? When are you getting home? And I'm like, Mom, it's 10. So that was kind of funny. I got 2 of those while I was there. Where are you okay? Where are you? It's just funny how parents, I don't know.
They always got a parent.
All right, so I can't see your messages, so I know that people are probably being hateful to me. But so let's go to Nikki because then we did
let's
have.
Go on to.
Let's go to
what
so
happened.
Okay, so we had a phone call then, because I did say
he was willing to hop on a call with me and Joy, and this is where I needed him to realize that I'm the bad cop, Joy's the good cop. and I definitely think I could have pushed harder, but also I've never done this. Like, we're not journalists. We're not, we're just people and just fell into this. So I was surprised he was willing to like do a call with me. And yeah, it was very strange. I asked him, directly, did you abuse your wife? Were you a godly husband? Was she a godly wife? And all of his answers were, they were, like you said, like, he manipulates language. I would ask about, was he a good husband? And he would start saying how terrible Micah's family was. But the thing that got me, this is the thing that I've been telling people, is at one point I asked him if I could speak to him about his theology. I've gone to church for almost 20 years, kind of a similar-ish church to his, but a little more, I'd say, biblically based. And I asked him if his church is, and I always trip over my words, complementarianist or egalitarianist. And he said, I don't know those words. And I was like, that's okay. And, I asked,
I mean, you're
you're
pretty intelligent and like you are like pretty book smart about church and all too. Like, you're a smart person.
Well, thanks. Yeah, and I don't think he liked that, saying this as humbly as possible. I don't think he liked that I'm smarter than him. And I don't think he's been pushed back too much on his theology. And he basically said something, it was like, I don't believe men are better above women. I think women are actually than men, and men have to rely on God to be able to like serve them and be as good as them. And I was like, sir, I've listened to you preach. Like, you're full of it. And I just think when I started asking those kind of questions, he read me as like, I'm going to tell this woman exactly what I think she wants to hear. And that's where I think like the manipulation of language, he does really well. And it didn't work on me. Like I made a lot of, like, if we were on a video call, it was a lot of like the Jim Halpert on The Office faces.
Can we see the face?
It was like,
there was that time we did ask about like the men, like his sermons about the men being head of the household and how that particularly bothered us. And can you explain it better? Like that was very.
Yeah, it was just exactly the opposite of like what we've seen him preach. It's
but
always
in a complicated way.
Yeah, in a complicated word salad way. And yeah, it was just like, okay, I think he's good at reading people. But it wasn't anything that, like, I don't know, nothing has changed for what I believe from that conversation. The other, big takeaway from that was like, I said straight out, you've been very litigious, and I don't know that you're not going to find our content and decide like, I don't like that one girl. I'm going to file a lawsuit. And he, take this for what you will, but gave his word he wouldn't sue us. And the main reason he said he wouldn't sue us is because I am a Christian and he doesn't want to sue Christians.
Oh, I did.
I made the Jim Halpert face.
I don't even remember that part.
Yeah. So yeah, everybody who's maybe frustrated, I don't know. It's just like, it's interesting to have spoken to him and for Joy interacted with him. And like I keep saying, like, nothing has changed for what we think happened. We don't think, yeah, it's like he tried really hard, I think, to manipulate and didn't. Does that make sense?
He did a little with me in the honesty bit, but that's because I now understand the honesty differently. Is all I can say. Like,
it's the word manipulation,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. I don't think it's out and out lies. I really don't. I think there's truth to things that can be just manipulated a little. Manipulated, but I don't think he's a full-on liar about. It depends on your definition of lying.
Right. It definitely depends on that, because I still think he's a liar. Like the way he manipulates language to me is lying. And yeah. The other thing is, I don't think he would do any sort of call with me again.
No. And in fact, I did want to clarify a couple things with him today before this. And he said he can no longer talk to me, that things I sent hurt some members of his church, which I don't think I've really said anything.
I got big feelings about that, because I think it's the same thing as he tried to read me and say what I wanted. I think he knows that's going to be the thing that hurts you the most.
And it did.
That you hurt other people.
Yeah.
When in reality, I think what happened is he found our content, he watched it, he agreed that we are not particularly kind to him in the content and got his feelings hurt, and then was like, the way I'm going to strike back is by saying that you yourself have hurt people that you, I don't know, you've hurt other people.
Yeah. Again, we have our own personalities, and hate me, guys, but I am a little bit of a softie.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm a bad cop.
Okay. I can't see the comment, so you have to tell me, and I don't want to hear the bad ones about me. So, are there any questions out there, guys? Any questions about us, or?
Yeah, do you guys have anything you want to ask about this or about us in general? We're happy to answer. Yes, there are people who believe that you've been duped.
I know. I know.
Yeah.
And you know what? Reality is always somewhere in between.
Yeah.
And if me being tenderhearted means I get duped more, trust me, my husband tells me that all the time. I don't know. It is just the way I am a bit. And
someone asked if we have an email address. I'm trying to think if we do. Let me look it up.
We keep making them for the channel, and then I keep not looking at the channel one. So, how many people did we get? I can't. I can tell absolutely nothing. I don't want to touch a button.
The peak we had was 50.
Yay!
Yeah, and I don't know. I think.
So did I tick anyone off?
Under the Mystic, there are a couple of people that are pretty mad and saying they're gullible and won't listen to us anymore, but that's fine. Under Mystic Moon, thank you very much for being grateful for us. We're doing our best. Some young man named Nathaniel said, "Hi, Mom, proud of you."
Aww. That's my little guy. No, he's not a little
guy. Someone's asked. No. Mark, we're not believing in JP. We're just sharing the experience.
Well, let me say this one thing, and this is how I feel. I believe that the crimes that were going on are far worse than what anyone is thinking. I think something really, really bad was happening. I think it got opened up and we got a window into it because of this event. I think these actual people are probably not as bad as we think, but I think what they were part of is worse than we think. If that makes sense. And that's what I want to pursue, because I think there's a much bigger story about something that's happening in our world and our community and that I think needs to be pursued.
Yeah.
But
I am,
other than Susie, I will defend Susie.
I'm very, very much, I 100% believe JP was horribly abusive to Mica, regardless of whatever is going around outside of them. I do think there are bigger crimes happening, 100%. I think regardless of what happened, JP needs to be held accountable for the abuse he inflicted, regardless of if it was physical or what he did. So that's that's where I am.
And I will say, even to him today, after he told me I hurt some people's feelings, I said, well, and he commented specifically on a comment I had made that said, I think he's going to go to prison. I do. I mean, I think he's going to do some jail time for something. I don't think he didn't break a law. I think there was some.
I think the only reason he hasn't been arrested for the abuse of Mica that they have proven is because they're trying to get him for bigger things.
Yeah, I think he's trying to also. I think he's cooperating.
I Spy Crime nailed it. Ooh. I Spy Crime said it. It's been said that Mica opened up a Pandora's box and he absolutely abused her, and it's documented. Yeah. That's where we are.
I am going to say I think Mica is a complete hero in this.
Yeah.
Complete. I think she was doing something that was so risky and so brave to save hundreds of people from some stuff that was going on. And I firmly believe that. So I mean,
Yeah.
I think she was a hero on levels that maybe we don't even fully understand yet. And she took risks, and
Hmm.
one way or another, not sure how, but that's what ended up her demise.
Yeah. And, I think that's kind of the bottom line for us is this is a really weird thing that you stumbled into being in Myrtle Beach. Um, and I think basically like I said, kind of at the beginning, our big takeaways, like we just want to be aware of how we're communicating things about people. I have this thing that I always want to win arguments and I want to be the bigger person, but it's not because I want to be the better person. It's because I want to win. And so I don't want to, um, I don't know. I don't want to be intentionally cruel to someone because that'll make me look petty and not be the winner of the argument. So I don't want to be mean to anybody just for the sake of being mean, but I am gonna have my backbone and I'm gonna stand up and I'm gonna say, yeah, this is about justice for Mica 100%. And what Mica did, I think, is going to unravel a whole bunch of other things that need to be unraveled. And
They're
that's
huge.
where
They're huge.
yeah, that's where we got to focus. And I think the big thing for us was even after all of these weird interactions, like nothing's changed.
No.
That was what I kind of said to you. I was like, if you look back on going to church or any of this stuff, does it change what you think happened? And you were like, no.
But it did make me realize people are humans, and I'm not going to blame the other members. I'm not going to blame the members of the church for being bad people, and I do want to say that about them.
Yeah, and just on my end personally, I'm doing kind of separate from just on my own, I guess. I started doing some writing and research about how churches can see the red flags of coercive control. And I am going to, my pastor's already said I could kind of sit down and once I have more writing done, kind of present that. And we would talk through it. But that's become like a really big passion of mine is people in churches, people everywhere, but women in churches need resources. And sometimes it's really difficult for male headship of churches to recognize that, and they need to. And so I'm doing outside of kind of our podcast, I've been doing a little bit of writing on it. So I'm hoping that goes somewhere for me and for, making resources available.
And again, our podcast is not like our podcast is about what we fixate on and our neurodiversity. And part of maybe my kinder words have to do a little bit with that. I do want to say one thing. I don't think I do think there was I do think JP took advantage significantly of the finances of this church. I don't think
100%.
that, but I don't no doubt, but I don't think that's what this is all about. I think this is all about something much bigger. I think there was I think there was money laundering going on in addition to just taking advantage of the people of the church. So
Yeah. I Spy Crime asked, do you think that's why he hasn't been arrested, that he's working with the FBI? And then said, please say no. That means he will weasel out of something again.
I'm not going to say no. I do think that's a reason. I do think that he is doing that to get a reduced sentence. But
That's my fear.
But I think the other stuff that's happening is really, really, really bad. Like really bad.
No, and I agree. I just don't want him to not be held accountable for what he did to his wife.
Correct.
And that's what I'm afraid is going to happen if he is working with the FBI. Yeah, that is my fear.
Yeah, but I think I mean, I think we're talking about a lot of different things being smuggled, and I'm thinking there is human trafficking involved, and I'm very scared to say I don't know if there was child trafficking.
Yeah.
And that's not to say I think JP was directly doing these things or any of these people were directly, but I think some stuff was going on. I think some people knew things that were going on. People had a part to play in it. I mean, anytime there's crime like this, people get a silo of what their job is to do. And, but I think nonetheless, people knew things. And I think the truth of the matter is I think Mica realized it and couldn't live with those things. And I think there probably was some corruption that started small and got bigger and bigger. And then these people couldn't get it out.
I Spy Crime just said, this is why I think they have not reopened Mica's case as a homicide. They should have done that already. Yeah, that makes sense to me because there's a lot of questions. I think there should be a blanket reevaluation of how law enforcement investigates what they think might be suicides, especially of women when there's documented spousal abuse. I think it's easier to kind of go, well, the husband said it was suicide, so it's suicide, case closed. But I think this case got so big that they should have reopened it as a homicide, and I think that maybe is what's going on. The FBI wouldn't raid his home if it was reopened as a homicide, I think, at this point.
Yeah, and that's not why. I mean, when I did talk to him, he said the reason they raided his home was because they crossed state lines. Okay, but 25 FBI agents don't raid your home.
We have another question. Laser Direct asked, do we think JP will be arrested soon?
I think he will be. I
don't know what soon means, but I think he will be.
But you know what? I don't think we're ever going to know again, I sound so conspiracy theorist. This is big. We're never going to know everything. We're never going to.
Yeah.
It's like the FBI's. And that was a little bit of what justice is going on. The FBI is not dumb. The FBI is taking care of a lot of things. And I think one of the biggest ways that Mica will get justice is through the knowledge that she did something very brave that saved a lot of people. And that's why I focus on that a lot of it. But I do think he will. I do think he broke laws. I think he is working to reduce whatever the consequences, which I think ultimately is better because ultimately will bring down some really, really bad people. But I don't think he's completely out of the clear. I think he will definitely pay legal consequences.
Yeah. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah, and again, we may never really know that. Anything else? I don't know how long we've been going.
We've been going like over an hour, I think.
Well, we probably need to cut it out. Do you guys want us to do any more lives, or does everyone hate me now?
Yeah. Let us know if we should do some more lives. And yeah, I had fun.
It was fun.
I hope. I guess I just hope like people understand kind of how our neurodiversities work and can understand that about us a little bit more. Yeah, one of the things I've discovered is like I'm super black and white, and you're super not. Yeah. And so we have to sometimes meet in a happy medium for both of us.
Well, I think I'm really good at looking for clues and deeper meanings to things. And that's what I'm kind of fixate on is like I got to look into this stuff that was going on at that park. There's something big going on there. There's something big.
we do want to do a video about the park.
Yeah.
So we do have, this is special for the people on the live, I guess. before Solid Rock completely took their website down, I saved every single document and photo, specifically the photos that they forgot to take. They forgot were posted that had Mica in them. So I saved all of them, and like the next week, the Solid Rock site was completely down. And so we want to go through those and maybe with everybody and just see what they think, because a lot of it's basically like one's a parking map. Like I saved everything.
But there's some interesting things. There's some they have like a lot of worksheets to fill out, and again, like I also do think that the church was being. I think when you're talking about high level organized crime, a lot of it has to do with being able to message and communicate, and I do think that the church was being used for that. I strongly believe that. That's not to say that every member of the church. I do think there's members of the church where that the majority of the church was not, the congregation was not involved in that, but I definitely think that played a role. I definitely think the church had something to do with money laundering. I definitely think it had something to do with being able to share messaging and information about illegal things. And I'm praying that it didn't have to do with kids being in the school. And but I think we have to keep looking at that.
Yeah. So hopefully we can get, I got to kind of go through the documents that I saved, because I didn't even really super look through them. I was just like, I need to download all of these. And I'm so grateful I did. But we were thinking maybe we could do a couple lives where we're like going through them with whoever's on with us, because like I don't have a lot of, I don't know what a lot of it is. I'd love to, like, we kind of like hearing other people's opinions and thoughts on stuff like that. So I think that would be a good, you guys tell us what to think about those.
And I'd like to go through the documents that JP saved with me. And I do want to, I mean, like I just gave you an overview of everything. I do want to get a little bit more into some of the specifics too, because it is interesting. And I don't know if the messages were being sent to me purposely. Obviously they were trying to be they're trying to make everyone very personal. And so, but at the same time, let's just be aware of some of the people, and just be aware they have kids and families, and I do worry about that a little bit.
Yeah, I will say that is something we've been pretty intentional about, is trying to keep any minor children out of like what we talk about. But yeah. Under the Mystic Moon just said people are clueless, lots of messaging through his quote preaching.
Oh, don't. Yeah, 100%. And then I have one other thing to say, but I almost need to explain it. There is one other thing that was in the church that is very interesting about messaging. It's a little thing, but and I don't even know I don't even know if I should say it, because I don't want to be mean about the church, and it was not, but there was, every seat had notebooks on it, and it was there for taking notes. But if you were trying to send messaging or send information to others, well, that would be kind of a perfect way to do it. Again.
Oh, I did.
Not each individual, but.
Oh. Court reporter asked what our thoughts are on Chris Skinner. And I'll say, for me, I think that needs to be absolutely reinvestigated. That needs to be looked at from step one. Like, that needs to be looked at immediately. Yeah, I think the only thing I know for sure in the death of Chris Skinner is that it is an absolute tragedy for his children. I can't make heads or tails of it, because there's not a lot of evidence that I've seen. Like a lot of, like, I think there were videos that were erased from, trying to remember, from True Sunlight podcast, because they've seen a lot of documents and stuff, but I can't, of course I can't, because ADHD. Yeah, I think that I think it needs to be reinvestigated. I think that he was meeting someone for quote chess is important. I think chess is an important word used in all of this. And I have questions.
And if I were flat out to say what I think, some things happen with the FBI that is really interesting as far as communication at that time, which I'll get into. It's my thing, but I think Chris was onto something. I think Chris was talking to authorities about something, and I think his death was a warning. I think either he was, and this is getting like, this is very like my theory. I think either he was threatened with having his wife and children hurt unless he went away, or I think he was a sign. I think somebody hurt him or put him in a position where he had to hurt himself to save others. And I think that's when things changed. I think that was a sign that y'all are in something you're not getting out of. So
yeah. Mark Goff, I think. Goff or Joff, I'm so sorry. Says, it seems you guys are saying he was on the path to being like Jim Jones, only more subtle and sophisticated. And, you know, I don't think we're saying that, but I can see that. I don't actually think he's more subtle and sophisticated.
I don't think he's one. I think,
but I can see him being.
I think he wanted
the people
to be.
Who love him, let's say the people who love him, and they aren't going to turn away from him or his church.
And he is charismatic, and he is likable in person, and he is always in control of every situation. I noticed that just at lunch and at the church. He's always in control. I mean, it doesn't look like it's in a bad way, but I could see how that control. I'm sure he was very much in control of most of the marriage. Jim, again, like I think there was worse stuff going on than that. I think he was involved in much worse stuff, but at what level, I don't know.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Well, I liked doing this. Our neurodivergent stuff is like trying not to be sensitive about comments, so I'm really trying.
Because she knows I'm the one who's going to be sensitive about it, so I'm not looking at them.
Yeah, I'm kind of like, yeah. But the nice comments actually make me feel really good. So, thank you everybody for joining us. Yeah, we'll try to figure out how to do more of these, and we'll keep you updated with when we figured it out. You can listen to us more on our podcast, Fixate Today, Gone Tomorrow. Keep your eyes on the channel. And we're hoping to branch out into some other content. We're just trying to get as much out as we've been researching on Mica and all of this case now. So we will be branching out in more different, I don't even know what kind of content.
So
very different.
In our video, we have a video. Our next video out will be the new on the new Mission Dare to Care stuff. So
yeah, the
new video. Yeah, and maybe it's not out there. So maybe we have. I'm not sure if anyone has seen that yet. But
all right.
All right, guys. Thank you
so much. Leave any further questions or comments and everything, and we'll talk soon.
Bye.